Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Planes, Trains, and Comic Books channel. My name's Matt, and today we're going to review The Passageway. But before we get into that, if you guys wouldn't mind sharing, subscribing, commenting, it really helps me out and lets me know what you guys want to see more of. So, with that being said, let's get straight into it. All right, we got the cover here for The Passageway. It is an Image comic, and it is by Jeff Lemire, Andrea Sorrentino, and Dave Stewart. And we start off with this gentleman named John Reed. He's going to this island in the middle of the ocean where there's a lighthouse, and there's some sort of geological phenomenon going on that he's going there to study because he is a geologist. And when he gets there, he meets the lighthouse keeper, and her name is Sal. And it seems like she has brought John here, or possibly just brought the problem to the attention of scientists in the area, and they've sent a geologist to her island. So once the man with the boat leaves, Sal decides to show John the reason why he's there. And she brings him to this hole in the ground that she says doesn't have any bottom. She says she's throwing rocks down there and you never hear them when they land. But the interesting thing about this hole is it doesn't seem like it's erosion or something like that because it's perfectly symmetrically round. It's a very unique phenomenon for sure. So when Sal tells John that she's thrown rocks down and never heard them land, he decides to try it for himself. So he throws a rock down and he waits and he doesn't hear a sound either. So he decides to go a little more high tech than a rock, and he goes and gets his drone and he figures he can just fly that down and see how far it goes. So as it hovers down, the drone is taking video footage of what it's seeing inside the cave. And at first it's just total blackness and, rock and stuff. But then it gets to 60 feet and all of a sudden on John's video screen, this face pops up out of nowhere. And then a bunch of birds fly out and scare the crap out of him. And when he looks back on the screen after the birds freak him out, he just sees the rock side of the cave again. He doesn't see the red face that he saw before. So later that night, after John and Sal kind of have dinner and talk a little bit more about what's going on, John has a nightmare and wakes up, but he hears a noise. And what he hears is someone talking outside of his window. And when he looks to see who it is, he sees an old woman who's naked, standing on the rocks, kind of far away from him, but the naked woman is looking back at him in a very creepy, sinister way. And that's where I'm going to leave it. I don't want to spoil anything else. So this is the new graphic novel series that Jeff Lemire is putting out. Obviously, it's a horror book, and I am here for it. It's pretty freaking creepy and awesome. It is a nice hardcover that is $17.99, and it is about 88 pages. Now, this is actually part of an overarching horror series called The Bone Orchard Mythos, and that is going to be a series of graphic novels that are scheduled to come out over this and the next year. I believe the next one is scheduled for September. I haven't read too much from Jeff Lemire that is horror-based. I think maybe the closest I've got to is the Animal Man series that he did for DC, which in my mind was very horrific and messed up. So he definitely has the chops to do something like this. And he's definitely trying to build up some kind of new mythology that he created. And that's why it's called the Bone Orchard Mythos. There's a lot of stuff about crows and birds in this, and possibly like hell dimensions or something like that. But this book, The Passage, just being kind of the introduction to those ideas, it doesn't fully flesh anything out. So it just makes you intrigued and wanting more. I really like the art in this as well. The panel layouts and just the way that Andrea Sorrentino draws all the creepy stuff is fantastic. He does a very good job at drawing things that aren't necessarily horrific in a very horrific way. Like the old lady standing there could have looked weird, but because he put that little sparkle in her eye and like the way she's hunched over, it really communicates the creepiness of it. I'd say the weakest thing about this specific book is that it's so short and it's just kind of an introduction to these concepts. So I'm hoping the next volume really fleshes out the story and the mythos that he's trying to set up here, because while this one was creepy and good, it does kind of leave you hanging and doesn't really answer any questions. So overall, I really like this. I'm a big fan of the horror genre, so anytime someone's trying to create something new and interesting, I'm down for that. And like I said, the art was really good, so I'm going to give this book a 4.5 out of 5. I like that it comes out in hardcover. I liked this introduction, although I wish it had a little bit more about the mythology and everything, but we don't have to wait too long for the second volume, so I won't hold it against it that much. So if you saw anything you like, definitely go pick that up at your local comic book store, and we will see you all in the next one.